Hello everyone, Yashunta here, the founder of The Alt Investor. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Anurag Shukla, who is the founder of Samvida Legal and former executive VP and legal head at SBI Life, and before that Kotak Life. Mr. Shukla and I will discuss on stamp paper, what's its relevance, what type of financial transactions should be executed on stamp paper, and what should investors like you and me look out for before investing in alternative investment options. So let's get into the video now. Thanks. Hello, Mr. Shukla.
Hi,
Welcome to the
yes,
podcast.
yes, yeah.
How are you doing? All good?
All good. Thanks a lot for calling me here, inviting me
No,
here.
no,
So
thank you so
maybe we
much
can
for
start.
coming.
Yeah,
So we're going to talk about a very important topic today, which has been a very famous question in our community, that what is the relevance of stamp paper? Or, even starting with what is stamp paper? Uh, could you share more light on that, maybe?
yeah, sure, yes. See, stamp paper is nothing but a prepaid instrument to pay stamp duty to the government. There is nothing great
Okay.
about it. So we make so many payments to the government. It is one of that. It is quite akin to taxation. The only difference is that taxation is generally related to any individual, whereas stamp duty is relatable to a particular document, not to a particular person. So stamp duty is always charged on a document oblique instrument. If there is no instrument, then generally a stamp duty is not charged, unless and until it is specifically said that stamp duty will be charged on some transaction. But usually, traditionally, historically, the stamp duty is always charged on a document or instrument. So this is the basic difference.
So I remember when we buy, let's say, mutual funds, the government charges us something like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
0.0058%.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yes, yes.
similar
It
thing
is
here?
same. It is same. It is stamp duty only, and that is what I say. That traditionally it was there on the instrument only, document only. Now the government has introduced another feature of that. That okay, stamp duty will be charged every time you buy some unit in a mutual
Okay.
fund also, because you create a document. You create
Okay.
it is a transaction, but it is evidenced by some instrument, and one instrument is issued by the issuer to you. It comes in an email, although it is not physically signed, but a signed document comes to you.
Mhm.
So it is chargeable on that instrument.
Mhm. And this can be in stamp papers, can be in physical format as well and executed
Yeah,
in
yeah,
e-format as well, right?
yes,
So
that's correct.
this is how it looks like for our viewers if you haven't seen a stamp paper. So, Mr. Shukla, what's the relevance of this? Why is it needed, or why is it considered as a safety mechanism when you're executing a transaction?
It is not about safety mechanism. It is a mandatory requirement by the government, and the stamp duty is chargeable under statute of Parliament, Indian Stamp Act, and there are several state legislations also, like Maharashtra Stamp Act, Karnataka Stamp Act. So what happens? I'll just give you background of that. So in the Constitution of India itself, it is mentioned that you must have heard of the union list and state list and the concurrent list.
Mhm.
So in union list, only the central government has power to make law, and in the state list, only the state government can make law. Now,
Uh,
under the Constitution of India itself, it is said that certain transactions, certain documents are there, certain instruments are there on which only the central government can levy the stamp duty. That is
Mhm.
mentioned specifically in union list.
Okay.
Especially all the banking transactions, all the insurance transactions, all the mutual fund transactions, all the share transactions, everything comes under central government. That is why the rate of stamp duty on these transactions, whether you take insurance policy, whether you create any banking document, everything, the rate is fixed by the central government. Whereas on other instruments, like when you buy a land, when you buy a flat in say Mumbai or Delhi, so
Mhm.
on those instruments, the state government has to fix the rates. Now the unique feature is that whether the rate is fixed by central government or the state government,
Mhm.
the stamp duty is collected always by the state government, not by the central government. This is a major difference. All there can be central taxation, your direct taxation, it is everything comes to the central government. But here it
Mhm.
is different. Here, even if on an insurance policy, It is said that 20 paise per thousand, the stamp duty will be there, but it will be collected by the state government from where you have issued the policy. That is the legal requirement of the Constitution of India. So it is not about our safety or a risk-taking ability or appetite. It is a mandatory requirement. You have to do it. If you are not doing that, then there will be a penalty and a punishment also. So definitely you
Penalty
have to
on the
pay that.
investor or the penalty on the company that issued the, let's say, the instrument?
So it is prescribed under the Act only, it's the Indian Stamp Act, that on what kind of instrument, who is supposed to pay the stamp duty.
Okay.
So it is mentioned for different type of agreements. It differs. So if I talk of the insurance policy, if the insurance policy is issued and the stamp duty is not paid, of course the insurance company is to be held liable, not the consumer or the policy holder. So similarly, for all the types of agreements, it is mentioned that who is supposed to pay the stamp duty. That means if the stamp duty is not properly paid, he can be penalized. And the relevance, when you say, the biggest relevance is that if the stamp duty is not paid, or if it is not adequate or as per the requirement, that means that particular instrument or a document cannot be produced in a court of law and it cannot be relied upon. So it is not enforceable. If you go to enforce that in a court of law, first thing they will impound the document itself. If it is an agreement and it is not properly stamped, the court will have to impound. So it will be seized. It will be seized, and then
Okay.
it will be sent to the local collector to assess the stamp duty and impose necessary penalty on that. So it
Understand.
becomes a pain point. So that is why the relevance is huge, and nobody should ignore the stamp duty part.
Understand. So what type of transactions should generally happen on stamp paper? So right now we are talking about a lot of alternative investments that are happening. These can be
Yeah, yeah,
asset
yeah.
leasing, renting, invoice discounting, or buying a bond. What sort of transactions should ideally be on a stamp paper?
So all commercial agreements, all commercial documents have to be on the stamp paper. And in most of the statutes that I have seen, there is a residuary provision. So
Hmm.
there are 100 types of instruments which are mentioned in the Stamp Act, and they have said that okay, on this document 10 paise stamp duty, on this
Yeah.
type of document 20 paise per thousand, something like this. Some rate is fixed, or 0.2%, 0.02%, 0.001%, something like that. But at the end, every statute says that if a particular document is nowhere mentioned in this entire act, then
Hmm.
also stamp duty will be chargeable at a particular rate, at least 100 rupees, or
Okay.
maybe 0.01%, 0.001%, something like that is there. So that means you can safely assume that every commercial instrument has to be stamped as per the stamp. There is no remission on that, unless and until there are certain instruments which generally government, suppose government is issuing flats to poor people,
Hmm.
some document is created, and for that the stamp duty has been exempted by the concerned government. Then of course there is an exemption. There is a specific exemption. Otherwise, every instrument having commercial value will have to be stamped.
And I know you have mentioned that the risk of not having it on stamp paper is, the court will impound or seize that agreement.
Yeah.
Let's say if an investor has entered into a deal, maybe that can be asset leasing deal where, investor has purchased something, leased that asset to another counterparty, and the agreement is not executed on stamp paper. And let's say the counterparty has now stopped paying the lease rentals to that person. What what recourse does the investor have in this case? I mean,
No
can he do
recourse, no
anything?
recourse.
No
No
recourse.
recourse. You will have to, you may have to go to the court, you may have to produce that document, then you may have to request the court to impound that document, or ask that particular the fund manager to produce that original document so that it could be impounded and the stamp duty paid, and then you can seek your remedy. So even if suppose it has arbitration clause, that is very common nowadays. Now you cannot go for arbitration unless and until that document is stamped, and that is very clearly held by the Supreme Court very recently. It has been clarified that if the agreement in which the arbitration clause is there, if it is not properly stamped, then you cannot seek arbitration under it. So first you'll have to pay the stamp duty with a penalty. So it will create a problem for you. You may have
Understood.
other remedies like your criminal cases that he had the intention to cheat and that is why he did not pay the stamp. All these can be there, but not under civil law.
Understood.
It will create difficulty.
So if let's say a transaction size is only 10,000 rupees, it is still recommended to do it on stamp paper if it's an
Yes,
instrument,
yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes.
Understood. So I guess to end here, what would you recommend the investors of this alternative community to look out for when they are entering into any sort of transactions? Because right now what is happening, there are 20, 25 different platforms coming each and every day, coming with different,
Yeah.
lucrative deal sizes with very high IRRs. But some of these platforms don't offer it on stamp paper, which, like you have mentioned, is very crucial. Anything else that these investors should check out in these agreements before deciding whether to invest or
No, due diligence is required. I mean, any investor, slightly digressing from the stamp duty chapter,
not?
I can say that due diligence is very important. And see, most of the investors, what I have seen that they go by the market feedback and the advice from the friends and all that. But I think it is worth spending some money with or on the due diligence part, legal due diligence also. So if they approach any good advocate who is, I mean, well versed with such commercial transactions, he or she will be able to guide that person that whether the legality or legal part is clear or not. See,
Mhm,
commercial risk is very different. No advocate is going to help you with the commercial advice.
mhm,
For that, you will have to rely on your friends or your own wisdom and all. But the legal part definitely should be referred to a good advocate. It can be a good idea where suppose 10 or 20 investors are there, they can form a pool and
mhm,
they can seek an advice by pooling in the money. So
mhm,
it may cost you some, say 1%, 2%, whatever is the transaction, depending on the transaction size, but it always helps.
mhm,
And you will be surprised to know that, since we are discussing the stamp duty basically,
mhm,
many of the people are not aware, rather, that, see, what happens that many of the fund houses or the people who are managing money, what they do is that they create documents in stamp duty friendly states. Okay, so when suppose you are sitting in Mumbai, somebody is staying in Delhi and all that.
mhm,
Somebody will go to Delhi. Delhi is stamp duty friendly state, and the stamp duty is quite on the lower side. They will execute the agreement there only. All the documents there. Now, in those, if you try to bring that document to Maharashtra, you will have to pay the stamp duty. And who will pay? The person who brings the instrument to Maharashtra. Now, there is huge difference, and Maharashtra is one of the most unfriendly state for stamp duty. It is on a very higher side, especially on the commercial transactions, because commercially it is really vibrant. That is why the government and the people here understand the true sense of the commercial documents, and the commercial transactions are in huge quantity.
mhm,
So this is the way they collect stamp duty. So
mhm,
if you have to bring it here to enforce it or to do anything, you can bring it for future reference also. The
mhm,
moment you bring within the territory of Maharashtra, you will be required to pay differential stamp duty. So if you have paid 100 rupees stamp duty in Delhi as per, and that is proper stamp duty as per Delhi Act, but in Maharashtra Act, that may require some 1 lakh or 50,000 of stamp duty.
mhm.
So that cost you may not have factored in your investment.
Wow.
So that is very important. That
Really good to know. So, thank you so much, Mr. Shukla. Again, very, very helpful for the investors in our community as well, and for people who are watching this video before making their, first alternative investment. Um, Thank you so much for being here. Hello again, guys. Apologies about the audio issues. We are not working with the best equipment, but will soon upgrade if this channel takes off. And you can, of course, help us with it by liking, sharing this video, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Do let us know what you thought about this video in comments. And if you have any questions for Mr. Shukla, we'll try and get them answered on our WhatsApp community group. If you would like to join that group, the link will be present in this video's description. So please do join if you're an alternative investment enthusiast. Thanks again for watching. Have a good day. Bye.